What we are discussing is a very interesting shloka. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Gita, chapter number 2, text number 29. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनम् अन्यशृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Let me read this again. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनम् अन्यत् शृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Translation purport given by Sdivan Vyasasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Some look on the soul as amazing. Some describe him as amazing. Some hear of him as amazing. While others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Purport. Since Gita Upanishad is largely based on the principles of Upanishads, it is not surprising to find this passage in Katha Upanishad. There is a similar shloka in Katha Upanishad also, Srila Prabhupada is quoting. Shravanapi bahubiryo na labhyaha shanmatopi bahavoyam na vidyuhu आश्चर्यवक्ता कुशलोस्य लब्धः आश्चर्यश्नाग्नता कुशलानुशिष्टः. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted the lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though it is a fact. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful, either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material misery. मम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकधामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्. वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य Prabhanityananda Shri Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kam Karoti Vachal Mangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Guru Dina Tarinam Hare Krishna आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनं मन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् श्रुत्वापि श्रुत्वापि is very important here. Shrutvapi means being heard. Shrutvapi enam vedana chaiva kaschit. So this is a very an important juncture where the Lord is giving a summary of how the soul is very wonderful. Why it is wonderful is Srila Prabhupada gives further clarity in this. Why this is so wonderful? Why it has to go through like this? What is the reason? So when we further assess about this, you know what it has discussed yesterday. First thing, one should come to an understanding that no matter what happens in this world, no matter our body totally vanquishes, no matter we've been hit with so many difficulties, it doesn't matter. What it really matters is how we are responding to this. Actually, when Srila Prabhupada was actually leaving his body, he was smiling. He had a glaring effulgence. Now, how can we how can we how can we see a person is about to leave his body is very grave and his and smile is residing in his face and it's very jubilant. Actually, the darshan which the devotees have taken when Srila Prabhupada was actually leaving his body is something astonishing. So, why am I why am I telling that is, dear devotees, this ascharya, which is fascination, is very interesting to learn because if you see a huge whale, which is the size of 20 buses, 20 school buses. If you put 20 school buses all close to each other, US school buses, anywhere, buses are big. 20 school buses, if you put all together, that would be the length of particular whale. And that whale, which gives a clarity that it is being driven with a minute soul, which is a consciousness. Please understand. What is that? It is a the minute soul. Is it not? Is it not fascinating? That means a key to that huge creation, it's very teeny. So it is very teeny. 1 second. So it is Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Do you hear anything in the background? You are good. Hare Krishna. Is it clear? Is my voice clear? Everything
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble message. Sometimes, sometimes, but that's okay, Prabhu.
Okay, okay.
I understand. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
So we need to understand when we hear something about Ascharyavat Kaschidenam, Ascharyavat Kaschidenam. So this thing one need to understand that everything is very fascinating. Because on the other side, the same body is used for the same body is being extracted for various kinds of happiness. But that body is giving that happiness through the presence of the soul. Even though we don't see that the soul is there, even though we don't feel, but we can perceive. Feel in the sense, in a physical way. In a physical way, we cannot perceive. Please understand. In a physical way, one cannot perceive it. But in a consciousness level, one can perceive. But when one's absorption is into the state of gratifying one's body, is to gratify one's body. When that is there, cannot perceive anything else. Please understand. Can you give me one more second? 1 second. Give me 1 second. So, we might be doing so many things in one's life. Everyone in this world is trying to gain something, get something, give something, hear something, tell something, do something. We do all of these things. But the problem is, we always think that we are doing all of these things. Technically, we really don't know who actually we are, but we think that we are doing it. This is another fascination because if I don't know who I am, if I don't know what I do, if I don't understand really what is this, from where I came, that means I'm doing everything, creating so many things, but why am I doing? When this clarity is not there to a particular person, what happens is his doing is not actually doing, his feeling is not actually feeling, his assessing is not actually his assessing. He's doing all of those things, but he doesn't understand whether this is correct to me or not. Please understand this. Just like a huge living entity is been running by this soul, the huge living entity doesn't know that soul has been driving it. Animals, they have no idea that there is soul because their whole idea is something else, just to maintain this body. But the human beings, but the human beings, what happens is the human beings, through one's responsibilities of what? Responsibilities of taking care of one's family, responsibility of doing one's job, responsibility of doing some other activity. Through this responsibility, what is happening is our real identity is covered. That means I'm doing some responsibility, but I'm doing it without understanding or knowing who I am. Even though I don't understand who I am, but still I'm doing these things. That means the Lord, Krishna, is allowing me to do my responsibilities without knowing me who I am. This is another Ascharya. That means Lord giving us facilities, ways, and means, not knowing who I am, but giving us an opportunity to survive with this fittest. That means the Jiva is surviving in this world without knowing who the Jiva is. Animals is different ballgame. They have no idea what this is. 99.99% human beings also they have no idea what this is. Only point not 1%. They know, but they don't realize also. Then who is realizing? Very rare. That's why Krishna, he himself tells in Gita that Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanaman Prapatite Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatme Sudurlava. It's very rare. What is that very rare? In this human form of life, Bahunam Janmanamante, after cultivating this knowledge, multiple lifetimes, but to realize Vasudeva Sarvam is everything is very rare, which is true. Why? Because we see this sloka. Ascharyavat Kaschideno. See, Krishna, he himself is telling this is Ascharya. That means people, people are running through the presence of the soul, but they don't understand who the soul is. They're thinking that there's this body. That means they lament to do that thing which they are not. For example, it's another interesting aspect. Let's say we are lamenting on something, but you are not that. You're not that means there's no connection with you. What is that you? The real you. Not talking about you, the body. With the real you is not connected. That lamentation is not connected. For example, wife or husband is telling something. Husband or wife is telling to either husband or wife, right? So let's say husband is telling to wife or wife is telling to husband. The topic is something different. There's no connection. If you understand it has no connection, do you lament? We don't. But the moment when they say us something, we lament. Why? Because we are connected to that, which we are not supposed to be connected. Please understand. It's very interesting. Very interesting to assimilate. That is happening, but you're not connected to that. Then what do? You just hear it. And then if you have to do something, you do it and then just leave it. Just do your next thing. Just move on. This is journey. Please understand. This human form of life is a journey. If I use this human form of life in the correct way to please Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, then either you'll get another human form of life. What? For what? To practice this further. Or if this is finished, will you come back to Lord? This is not finished, then you again continue. If Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara are not yet fully purified, then you will be given another chance. Because you practice the same thing. You understand that. So at the time of death, you have this test of trying to remember Guru Sadhu Shastra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're trying to remember them. And by their mercy, you are able to remember, it's well and good. You'll head back to the spiritual world. And let's say by their mercy, you are not able to hear, that is also good. Because they'll give another chance. Actually, when we see all of these things, that the soul is standing 6 feet away from the body, from the dead body, It's so fascinating. The soul stands like this and then just watching. The soul can actually hear. The soul can understand when it actually comes out of the body. It can understand. Because it can understand what? The wife seems to be crying, but she's thinking, she's in the heart, she's very happy because husband died. That also he can understand. For example, the husband died, and then the wife, everyone is there. Wife has to cry, but everyone is watching. She's crying, but internally she's joyful. That consciousness which she's carrying at that particular moment, no one can understand, but the husband who left the body, that means the soul, that soul can understand. You see that what kind of lamentation is that? If that person doesn't understand what Krishna consciousness is, you must do you know how much problem or difficulty he's going through at that particular moment? Unimaginable. Because until that point of time, he's thinking that ek duje ke liye, he's thinking that she's my everything. He's thinking that she gave me so much happiness. He's thinking that she has given me so much wealth, this, that, so many other things. Or vice versa. Husband crying, wife left. Same consciousness carrying in the heart of husband. And the wife will actually, she can understand what he's thinking. Then do you know what kind of trauma they'll go through? And not just this, on top of that, this person is sinful, then the Yamadutas will be there right next to him. Then they will tell him, see your wife. You see how she's talking about you. See your husband, how he's talking about you. He doesn't understand where to put his head. So Australia, it is first cannot perceive. But they all work on a different realm. I cannot see that right now, but scriptures are telling. Guru Sadhu Shastra is telling. The soul is running everything. This entire creation is run by that soul. And that soul is thinking that I'm great. Not that soul, that person who is actually there in that particular body. He doesn't understand who he is. But the soul is part and parcel of the Lord. But that soul is thinking that he's great. Is this not fascination? This is what Krishna is also fascinated actually. The Lord is fascinated so much. He's telling that the people use this body for sense gratification, not understanding who they are. This is not fascination, it is fascination. It is interesting. Harish. So this thing, we need to really understand it about. We are not normal. We are not normal bodies. We are powerful spiritual. Heart and part of the moment you hear that, that itself is also fascination. It's very interesting because the jiva can only be happy through that connection. No other connection he can be happy. That you'll get realization. And you'll take this when you begin taking this process more and more serious close to the heart. Because you'll be there with your husband or wife, but you'll understand you're not there with them. You'll be there with so many people of this world, you'll understand you're not there with them. When my cousin left the body last month, I was actually I was actually there, but I was not there. Because I know why I came there. I came just to chat, just to pray, nothing else. A lot of people they speak so many things, and I have to counter speak to all of those things. But I understand from the deep of the heart, I'm not for this. I'm not there, I'm not here to hear all of these things. Came for a service. Because this jiva doesn't know where he will go, doesn't know when he will hear the holy names again, doesn't know what kind of body he will go through. This is the last chance for me as a service to this particular soul. The body is gone, but the soul is there. let me intensely let me intensely pray to that particular jiva. Because that soul is called as jiva. Doesn't have any name. There's Atma, that's it. Unless and until Krishna personally names that Atma, the Atma is Atma only. That Atma has a connection. But we don't know when that Atma will again hear the holy names. That is the hope. For now, it's been almost a month. So people are busy and whatever they're supposed to do, they're engaged. They're kept in different situations, circumstances, responsibilities to take care of their small children, take care of their parents, do their job, continue all of those things. They're souls, but they don't close the door. They're souls, but they don't understand. A child might be 7 year old. She's a soul. Later on, the same child will grow, but she's still the same. She's still the same soul. That means her existence is the same. External appearance might be different. External show might be different, but her logic and reasoning, why it came here, it's all same. The person doesn't understand. Oh, one second, one second. So that jiva doesn't understand. Please understand this. The more you meditate on the lens of the soul, the more it gives us awareness. Because we are that over. Do you understand it? What is the moment you begin thinking or contemplating or discussing or hearing or reading about the soul, about its properties, about the Lord, this happiness which you get, even $1 million you've been given, you'll not get this kind of happiness. This is another interesting thing. Because when you discuss anything on a constitutional level, that means this is what it gives you satisfaction. Anything else which is been given, you might have purchased gold on a low price. Now it might be so high, but even that also, nothing will give you happiness. Or they give you promotion, 20% raise. One month, 2 months, you will see the bigger salary. Nobody will give 20%. I'm just telling. For example, you have worked so hard, stressed out so much, 20% they give. Still that will not give satisfaction. Because why that doesn't. Dear devotees, have you ever asked this question of what we are discussing now? Why all of the happiness which we perceive in this material world doesn't give us happiness? I'll give examples. Many years back, when I finished my college, initial days of the job in the city of California. California is very famous for hiking. San Francisco is very famous for. There's so many hiking trails. There's so many places where you can do hiking. So many mountains. Very fascinating, very beautiful place. Even though you have that interest of doing it, you go do it for a few times, and then after that you realize after that you realize that somehow this process of walking like this is not giving happiness. No doubt you're seeing all those beautiful, even you're changing also. Please understand. You're not running on the same hiking trail every weekend or walking, whatever. You're changing. That means the situations or circumstances they are changed. But still, somehow it's not connecting to the heart. Let's say you watch your favorite movie star movie stars movie. Favorite film stars movie. Your favorite guy might be Telugu, Hindi, or English. Doesn't matter. Is your favorite. You go and watch the movie. The zeal or the happiness which you want to pursue before the movie is one state, but the zeal and happiness which you get after watching the movie is another state. That means it doesn't meet your expectation. Or even though you spend the 3 hours time, after that you don't feel that happiness. That means the happiness which you experienced through that movie, that is not retained after that. Or let's say you ate your favorite food item that gives you so much happiness, so much joyful. But even those things are not giving happiness. Why? Because those things are not connected to you. Please understand. See, a lot of people, we have a park right next to our home. It's a big park. And a lot of people will go and walk in the park in the early in the morning. They're not walking for joyful process. They're walking to cut down their cholesterol. They're walking to keep their heartbeat normal. They're walking to ensure that the body is maintaining in the right equilibrium. The process of walking is not giving them happiness because the process of walking is not connected to them. Please understand. That means whatever actions or activities we do, they don't give us happiness in this world because they're not connected to who actually we are. You don't gain that experience of happiness. Let's say you did a responsibility, taking care of your children, dropping them to the school. That's a responsibility. That's not you. That's your responsibility which you did in this particular body. But the moment you begin connecting to that source, which you have to connect, then every activity around it will become a joyful process. Because of what you're doing, this is also another Ascharya. Why it is another Ascharya? Because before it was not giving happiness, now it is giving happiness. Before it was not giving satisfaction, now it is giving satisfaction. You did the same thing. Before the action was same, now the action is also, before also you are cooking, now you are also cooking. But before it was not giving satisfaction, now it gives satisfaction because now the cooking which you're doing with connection. That connection is bhakti. It's not mukti. It's not gyan. It's not dhyan. It's not karma. It's for bhakti. One should hear with bhakti. One shouldn't hear for bhakti. Please understand. Now, what does it mean? Hear with bhakti, hear for bhakti. There's difference. Hearing with bhakti means doesn't matter which situation I am. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. Doesn't matter what problem I'm going through. Doesn't matter with any of these things. वो सब बाद में भाड़ में छोड़ो. Just hear. Just hear. Not to even cultivate knowledge. Just hear. This just hearing is itself bhakti. Because dear devotees, what is happening is, not sometimes, most of the times, we hear through intellectual plane. That means, oh, intellectual, through intellectual mentality, we hear. Or I want to hear because I want to go in this very lifetime. I want to hear because I want to see Krishna today itself. That means I'm having some expectation. But we never do this just to please that person. Srila Prabhupada did that. Please understand. Srila Prabhupada sat in front of his spiritual master just to please that person, not having any expectation. He was so raptly hearing from him because he wants to just to please him. This hearing is bhakti. That means sitting with bhakti, not for something, not for bhakti, or not for some jnana, or not for some dhyana. This is Ascharya. Why this is Ascharya is the soul can develop unlimited desires because it has that strength, because that soul is gifted with consciousness. Please understand. This is another interesting thing. The soul is very minute, but the consciousness is huge. Is it not so? If you think about this, the consciousness which can be perceived through this particular soul is unimaginable. And then the moment I'll tell something to you, it is no matter what I do all day, the moment I sit, or the moment I think after the moment when I'm going to bed, or when I have some free time, the moment I think about the truth, the moment I think about the spiritual master, the moment I want to do some service, do some action or activity, those things give unlimited happiness. Please understand. That I also don't know how it is coming. The moment we think about them, the moment we try to discuss anything about that, that gives joy. For that, I don't have to buy a film cinema ticket. For that, I don't have to go to San Francisco to do hiking. For that, I don't have to go to another Clearwater Lake to do some water games. I don't have to do any of those things. You just sit there, you just think, you just try to feel the try to feel the gratitude which we've been given. That gives unlimited happiness. Because what is that is, that is a magic of Krishna consciousness. And what is that magic is, magic is the connection. And that connection is bhakti. This is what the spiritual master gives. That's why we want to remember them always. Why we want to remember them always is because they give unlimited happiness. Through this unlimited happiness, we generally don't want to engage in sense gratification. Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehinam rasavarjam rasopyasya param dushta nivartate. That means what it means is, once you have the higher taste, then you leave the lower taste. Please understand this. This is very profound. Why this is profound is, for example, read about this. You might discuss, or we might hear, we might try to understand, we might try to follow. But until we receive that higher taste, and that this higher taste is not like, oh, one time you receive the higher taste, that's it. No, no, no. This is a continuous higher taste. The higher taste is continuous because in spirituality, spiritual life is what? Continuous. Continuous means what? Eternal, right? Eternal means, you see, one if something is eternal means the happiness which is perceiving through that is also eternal. That means your gain, is always unlimited. It's not like after receiving 10% gain, there is a 10% loss. Then after you receive 8% gain, then you got 20% loss. This is not like this in this material world, which is filled with dualities. It's not like that. The happiness means happy graph means happy graph. What is that? One second. Matladu. The happiness means the Vishya Vinivartante. Hare Krishna, Matladada. Vishya Vinivartante means what? The happiness. This is happy graph. Happy graph means it's always going up. It's up only. For those devotees, Dude, what is leaving the self gratification is not like a pity thing. It is pity thing. That's why it's very easy for them to leave. Please understand, because what is happening is they're experiencing that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You are with the Lord. You're with Krishna. Who said you are not? You're with. But we don't perceive that now. Why? Because of our attachment to this material world. As simple as that. That means if a person is carrying or holding to the material attachment, how can he get the happiness of the spiritual bliss, which is there through the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? As he's attached to this, the person who's attached, this person will do offenses. This person will do Vaishnava aparats. This person will see Vaishnavas down. Why? Because he's attached. Niraharasya dehinam rasavajam rasopyasya param drishta nivartate. But the person who's experiencing that happy graph, which I said, this happy graph goes like this to spiritual world only. And that devotee, he just walks through that graph and then he goes to the spiritual world. There's an x-axis, y-axis. There's a graph that is ever increasing. Everyone wants to have this kind of graph for their 401k. Oh, my 401k should be like this. It should go like this, ever increasing. And this is in the material world, right? It will not be like that. It will go up, it will come down. It will go up, it will come down. Right? But this graph which I'm talking about, this is a graph of Krishna consciousness. This is always up. Because this is what? This is devoid of all of these things. This spiritual master will gift us what I'm talking about, right? This is another Australia. Now, how he is gifting us, because he's also experiencing it. Now, if I ask how he is experiencing, he'll tell my spiritual master is also experiencing it. If I go and ask him, he'll tell my spiritual master gave me. He's experiencing that. If I go and ask him, he'll tell my spiritual master gave me. He's experiencing that. If I go and ask these questions like this, it will go to Brahmaji. Or if I go and ask Brahmaji, Brahmaji, how are you getting happiness? Because Krishna gave me happiness. That's why I'm experiencing. If I go and ask Krishna, how are you experiencing? Because I am the source of that. That's it. He'll tell that. Bhoktaram yajnadavasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Suradas sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantirichyati. He's the source of all the reservoir. Now, who's the source of that reservoir? He himself is the source of that reservoir. There should be one source to start everything. Just like I told this once before, many months back. Our company, where I was working in Pittsburgh, company was established 50 years ago or some 50 years ago when I started at that time. Oh, that person walked to open up an office, to open up a business with an idea in his mind of creating medical devices. He walked. He walked and then he stopped wherever the snow stopped. That was his. And wherever the snow stopped, that is where he opened up his office. That means if there's one person, he'll start anything. One person. Apple, Apple company started by one person. Now it's a huge company. So everything will start with one. And the source of this entire thing is started by one, by discussion. And through that one, everything is gone. Now, this is not Australia. Because Apple, there's the CEO of the Apple who started the company. We know from him all of that started. Because Krishna is the source of this entire creation. Through him, everything is got started. Through him, all Devi Devatas came. That's it. As simple as that. Just accept it, move forward. But another Australia is what is, after hearing all of these things, still our consciousness will go into sense gratification. That is what Krishna is exactly telling. That is Australia. Yes, it is. It is really Australia. This Australia, this fascination is unimaginable. The soul is very minute, but consciousness can be huge. How is it all coming? Through the small soul. If this is possible, consciousness can be expounded, 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 expounded. Unimaginable, it can be expanded continuously through that same soul. And that same soul, if that soul is been kept in the body of an animal, the consciousness is limited. Australia, same consciousness which was expounded when that consciousness was kept in a human body, and the soul has been kept in that human body. That means that the desires or the intelligence or the everything has been given extra. But when that all of that consciousness was given extra, it was misused. This is where the entire problem is happening. This is where we need to correct. When all of this consciousness is misused, then the soul will be taken from this body, be placed into another body. This is called as transmigration. And when soul has been taken from this body to the other body, the consciousness is also reduced. This is another interesting thing is this is all of these things are happening dynamically. The expansion of the consciousness, contraction of the consciousness. Is it not contracting the consciousness? Because the animal it is only thinking ahara nidra bhayam. And the intelligence is driven around that to give that, to maintain that. So this is very interesting. So this when we actually understand it, what is, you understand what we've been given. Unimaginable. And what are we doing with this entire life? Using this consciousness in creating a software program. Using this consciousness to cure a patient. Using this consciousness to do some sense gratification. Using the same consciousness to create an empire. To create bank balances, purchase homes, to take care of children, to take care of family members, without devoid of the presence of the law. This is another Ashcharya. And all of these Ashcharyas, when they all come together, it's another big Ashcharya. It's all been driven by the soul. Another interesting aspect is everyone, let's say if a person dies, and then they put RIP, 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 rest in peace, rest in peace. Who is resting in peace? And the body is here. Then the moment they will say, yes, may the soul rest in peace. MTS RIP, may the soul rest in peace. Babre, everyone knows. Yes, yes. Everyone knows. Everyone in India, in US, they all know they are soul. They say yes, yes. Well-being, goodness. This in US, these are the big words. Well-being, goodness, consciousness, mindfulness, soul. They all know. They don't, but we don't work on that. We know. We don't do it. We see people dying, but we don't think that this number will come to us. Another Australia. This is all Australians. Is it not there now? We see so many people dying, but we don't think that this number will come to us. And we don't want to cultivate that consciousness before our number comes. I just read a news today. Somebody was sharing. I just saw. I did not read into the details. Just saw the headlines. An Indian born citizen, US citizen, done some fraud in H1B, and his citizenship is removed, and he has to go through some fines or some jail. Has to go to jail or something like that. I- Actually, one person's salary, let's say the person gets 150K. This is more than enough to five people live. For five people to live, this is more than enough. But Australia is, we want more. For that person, the citizenship, he has citizenship, he gains so many benefits, but still he wants to do some fraud. Through that fraud, he wants to get more money. He already has more money. Citizenship means he's been there since 20, 25 years. Already cultivated, has so much wealth. Still he wants to gain more. That means what is happening? The consciousness which is being used is misused. Consciousness is there, misused. Now what he has to do? He has to pay fines, go to the jail, citizenship is removed. Now in the future, when people see these kind of things happening, do they allow countries to come like this and then stay in their country? They do it. I tell you. There's a reason for everything happening. When I remember in 1999 or 1998, around that time, US required a lot of software engineers. There were no interviews also because they themselves also they don't know much. They were just trusting on their words. Please understand, this is true fact. They would just ask because a person will be sitting in India. They would just make a call, or very difficult to call from India in 1998. Was to just ask how many years of Java experience is. They will say 5. They will just put a tick. That means they are trusting that person. Please understand. There is no questions on Java. There's nothing like that. How many years of experience you have in PHP? That's it. How many experience you have in C? That's it. Your job is given. Then the company guys will send this person to US, will be sitting in the client place. No checks, nothing. That is what US gave first. They accepted, they trusted the persons. But now why they are doing this personal interviews, face-to-face interviews, even for contract jobs? Trust is lost. Please understand. Likewise, the material nature will give us facilities. Please understand. Material nature is not always stringent. It will give us facilities. It is assuming that we will use the facilities for the pleasure of Krishna. Please understand. It will give all the facilities. It will give intelligence. It will give everything. The Lord will give us everything to use all of those things in His service. But when we begin to misuse that, this is where the freedom is taken away, which exactly happened to all the Indians. This is how it began. They were just trusting. This person came from India. It's very loyal person. It's very honest. It's very intelligent. He'll do his job. That's it. He'll do his job. Slow down. But later on, what happens? The trust vanquished. Likewise, the material nature, it will give us facilities. But if you're misusing this, it will take us away from that. That is, the freedom is given away. Very. The more we understand this and assimilate this truth, assimilate the situations and circumstances which we have, we will do great in Krishna consciousness. But I think I'll stop here. Okay, so Sheetal Mataji's question. My soul will not reside in the home for 13 days. The soul will stay. What happens is, let's say the soul has to go to the hellish planet. The soul immediately goes to hellish planet once, puts the attendance, and then comes back. And then after that, the soul will stay for 11 days. Because in this 11 days, what is happening is the soul is preparing its next journey. The body will be burnt off within 1 day on, but the soul will wander. Soul will stay closer to the home where it stayed. That is wherever the connection is, wherever the attachment is. Let's say the soul lives in Hyderabad and we left the body in some area. The soul will stay in the vicinity of that home for that 11 days. It will observe all the activities of the family members because the soul will not be taken away right away. The soul will be given a chance to stay in that realm. Because all of a sudden, death is an all of a sudden thing, right? So the Lord will give the Jiva an opportunity to stay. 10 minutes. So the soul the soul is being given. The soul is being given. 1 second. So that thing is very important because this 11 days is the period where the soul is being given that launch pad before it is heading to its next destination. Mostly the soul will go to the hellish planet and then suffer there because of the sinful activities which were performed in this life. And then after that, the journey begins. There's a river called Vaitarani River, where Vaitarani River comes between Earth and the hell. Hellish planet is in the lower planets. Atala, Vitala, Satala, Mahatala, Patala. Around this area, there's a section. There's an exact measurement also from Earth to hellish planets. So that's where it goes. It will take some time to go there. So as part of that, it has to cross the Vaitarani River. At that point of time, when the Vaitarani River comes, they would ask, have you donated cow? Then if you say yes, then they'll give you a boat. In that boat, you cross the Vaitarani River. If not, you have to swim the Vaitarani River. It is filled with urine, pus, stool, very nasty smell. You have to cross that without any boat. The Vaitarani River is very difficult to cross. And after crossing the Vaitarani River, finally you will reach hell. And then Yamaraj, who's a pure soul, Vaishnava, he will see all the listing outs, whatever sinful activities were done. in this life. Everything is recorded. The Shravani is all the way around. Shravani. Because whatever I am doing, whatever we are doing, they record that. We don't see them, but they see us. So these things are there. There are a lot of near-death experiences they share, even in countries like America. They have expressed their vision of Yamadutas. Very ghastly, they would say very ghastly faces, very terrible faces. They say I urinated. They did not die, but it's a near-death experience. They say I urinated. So many cases like doesn't matter. If you have American citizenship also, this, that, doesn't matter. Yamadutas will come. There's no restriction. There's no visa restrictions for them. They can come. So all of those things are recorded. So that's how the soul will stay for 11 days, and then after that, we'll go to the next dimension. Hare Krishna. Everything is Ashcharya only for us. So, a very interesting subject. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. Anyone would like to add anything? Otherwise, we'll continue it. We'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm traveling. I might not know whether I'm available or not. If I'm not available, I'll put up a message. Because I'm traveling back to Ongole tomorrow. My train is in the night, but I don't know whether I'll be available at this time or not. I'll keep you updated. Hare Krishna. Anyone would like to add? Come, Kilagoth. I'll come for the face. Go wash up, actually. Hare Krishna. No questions, no comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and go ahead, Mataji.
Oh, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Please tell.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving every day the knowledge. Of course, I'm talking for myself, even though, as you said, every day I hear in the morning, we have very good program and we do aarti, everything. But over a period of time, when we start working, slowly that fades away. So getting this energy every day and this Ascharyavat, it is very fascinating that for me, like even after listening every day, sometimes or most of the times, we get carried away and do our without even any Krishna consciousness until evening again when we have so only with the association of devotees like you and all, we get this opportunity to hear and remember every day, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Much Hare Krishna. Yes, this is very, very fascinating. Because the mind, the consciousness, they are very fast. They go to different states very quickly. They change very quickly. Correct state with this. So it is very, very important to retain that state continuously. Correct. Thank you, bro. Yes. Correct. Yes, Amalia, you're saying something.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. Thank you so very much. And no, there wasn't a question, but a realization. Same, exactly same like Shubal Prabhu. So fascinating, lot of asterisks, contemplating on what we discuss in the class. Then we'll get to know hear attentively, submissively, and then contemplating on what we discussed. It's so fascinating. The example you gave from your cousin as well. I was observing the same thing for Bhaskar Prabhu's cousin recently. So yeah, and after a week, everything is normal again. So fascinating. Without the truth, without hearing the truth from the spiritual master, everything normal. And whenever issue comes, again, agitation. So I used to think how initially when everybody used to say Srila Prabhupada saved all of us. I used to think how exactly saved. The truth itself is the savior. The truth is the savior. And as you beautifully explained, compared the real truth, the real happiness versus completely temporary. In the class, you gave an example on how higher the taste is, and contemplating on it, the gratitude to the Guru, for the time and energy spent. That itself is so much, Prabhuji, so much. So thank you so very much, Prabhu. Thank you so very much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all, devotees. Looks like Prabhuji is not here. So, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya